I'm kneeling behind a rotten log, rain drumming on my hat. I try to silence my breathing, praying the man pacing 20 yards away can't hear my heart pounding. 48 hours ago, I came to Olympic National Park to greet autumn. Now, I'm aiming a rifle that isn't mine. I'm Mark Callahan, a retired history teacher. I'd never pointed a gun at anyone until Thomas Vance, an escaped serial killer from Clallam Bay Corrections Center, decided to make this forest his playground. He made a fatal miscalculation. He picked my campsite. At 2:17 a.m. on Halloween, I heard it. Footsteps. Not an animal, they were human, deliberate. They stopped the moment I held my breath. I tried to convince myself it was a bear, but then a flashlight beam cut through the fog. A calm voice sang, "Teacher, teacher, come out and play." My blood ran cold. Only one person still calls me teacher, and for the past week, his face had been all over the news. Thomas Vance. Armed and extremely dangerous. I've hiked these trails since the 90s. The park's profound quiet has always been a balm for me, especially after my wife passed. It's why I started my annual Halloween trips, just me and my tent. This year felt routine. I parked my Tacoma, logged my 6-mile route up the Snyder-Jackson Trail, and headed out. The ranger who checked my permit joked, "Don't let the goblins bite." It was the last friendly face I'd see for a long time. The first night was normal, until 2:17 a.m. Those footsteps again. I peered out of my tent into a wall of fog. "Who's there?" I whispered. The only answer was a single, distinctly human cough. My mind raced. Bear spray buried in my pack, useless cell phone. "I've got bear spray," trying to sound confident. The footsteps retreated, but slowly, without fear. Sleep was impossible after that. I just waited for sunrise. The next morning, I packed up to report the prowler at the ranger station. On the way, I found a pink bandana, soaked in what looked like blood. Nearby, I saw boot prints leading off trail. I followed them to a hidden, ransacked campsite. Under a rock, a driver's license was waiting for me. The face was Rachel Martinez, a woman reported missing from Seattle. I ran the rest of the way to the ranger station, only to find it locked and empty. A sign on the door read, "Closed October 27th to November 3rd. I was completely on my own. Feeling exposed, I moved my camp deeper into the woods. As I was making dinner, a rock clacked behind me. Then a voice sang, "Retired teacher." I bolted, crashing through the undergrowth until I found refuge in a hollow log jam. From my hiding spot, I saw a flashlight beam answer my own. A figure in a green coat stepped into the light, slowly raised a hand, and beckoned me forward. Then, he simply vanished back into the trees. I spent the night in the log. At dawn, I decided against hiking out and gambled on the ranger station's radio. The outbuilding was padlocked, so I broke a window and climbed in. Inside, I found it. A bolt-action .22 rifle. It only had 5 rounds. I also found a Polaroid camera. The photos were horrifying. One showed my own tent, taken while I slept inside. Another showed Rachel Martinez, alive and terrified, the pink bandana tied around her neck. I just barricaded the door when his boots hit the porch. The radio was dead. "Mark," he said through the door, "let's not ruin the lesson plan." He taunted me, saying the girl I found cried for her mom. Rage replaced my fear. "Walk away," I yelled. He just laughed and started breaking in. I fired through the door. Silence. Then a window shattered behind me. He'd circled around. I fired again, a blind shot, and barricaded myself in a back room. Then I smelled kerosene. He was setting the place on fire. "Time for recess," he screamed. I fired a final shot through the wall, grabbed the Polaroids, and dove out a window as the cabin erupted in flames. I plunged into the glacier-cold Hoh River, the current pulling me under. I fought to protect the photos inside my jacket. After what felt like an eternity, I clawed my way onto the bank. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard distant sirens. Someone saw the smoke. I stumbled toward the sound before collapsing. I woke to a search and rescue tech. "Check the photos," I managed before passing out. Days later, in a hospital, detectives told me they'd found Thomas Vance's remains in the rubble. They also found a trophy cache of jewelry from 6 other missing hikers. They called me a hero, but I just felt empty. The woods don't care about your plans. Hit like if you've ever heard footsteps that didn't belong. Comment with the spookiest sound you've heard outside your tent. And for more stories that keep you checking the tree line, subscribe. I have a few that never made the news. I was released from the hospital on November 3rd. I still have the Polaroids. Last week, I decided to finally look at them one last time before burning them. Tucked between 2 prints was a negative I'd missed. It's grainy, but it shows a second figure standing in the background of my campsite photo. He's tall, his face obscured by a hood. It could be a trick of the light, a phantom of my trauma. Or it could be the reason a stick cracking outside my window at 2:17 a.m. still turns my blood to ice. I don't camp alone anymore. Maybe you shouldn't either.